Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind. We're that independent show where we talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. Yeah, I know it's a little weird show, but me and my friends get together and help put this together. So what's on the docket today? Let's take a look.
And I grew up in Oklahoma, and so my grandma was a songwriter, and so I've always been aware of the opry and how much it meant.
So even if you're in the most remote corner, you have service. And what's great is this service is available on just about every cell phone.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. Travel isn't just about where you're going, it's also about how often we're packing our bags, how much we're spending, and why sometimes a vacation really is the best medicine. Talker Research just released their 2025 Travel Trends Report, and it's given us a peek in how Americans are traveling this year. So joining me are Van Darden, Director of Media Relations for Talker Research. Welcome to the show, Van. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with the big picture. What stood out to you most from this year's Travel Trends Report?
Yeah, well, this year's report gave us a really interesting snapshot of how Americans are traveling and how travel is tied to so much more than just vacation photos. We identified three major takeaways in this year's report. By the numbers first, the average traveler takes 2.5 trips per year and spends $3,500 annually on travel. And that's not including luxury or international trips. That's just domestic travel. Our second big finding, travel could equal better mental health. People reported feeling 67% better mentally after taking a trip, and 40% of people with excellent mental health say that travel is a huge part of their lives. That's compared to 12% of people with poor mental health who say that travel is a part of their lives. And then third, how technology and social media feeds into inspiration sources, for example. YouTube came out over top overall. That's the number one place that people go for travel inspiration. Gen Z, on the other hand, are looking at TikTok to get inspired, and millennials are embracing kind of emerging AI tools like ChatGPT to both get inspired and help plan their trips.
Excellent to be lucky enough to have no mental health problems and be able to travel more. I'm part of that last group. You dug into generational differences. How does travel look different for, let's say, millennials and compared to boomers?
Yeah, that was one of the more interesting things that we found as well. So millennials, we found, were the most travel hungry generation. Millennials average 4.2 international trips in their lifetime, which may not sound like a lot over the span of someone's life, but 44% of baby boomers, on the other hand, say that they have never traveled abroad. So a big difference there in those generations. Another big generational divide showed up around social media and how people use it and react to it while traveling. 39% overall of everybody that we looked at said that they feel pressure to post vacation content while traveling. That number jumps higher the younger that you are. Gen Z and millennials, 55% and 51% respectively, feel this strong pressure to post while traveling. Boomers, just 15% say that they feel that same pressure to pull out their phones and post. Then, of course, there's the do it for the gram mindset. 1 in 3 people admit to doing things while traveling just to be able to post it on social media. Doing it for the gram is still very much alive.
There you go. And it sounds like pulling off a report like this takes a heck of a lot of work. What goes into gathering and analyzing all this data?
Yeah, well, like you said, pulling off a report like this is definitely a big lift, but it's also one of the most exciting things that we do at Talker Research. What makes our process really special is the scale and the flexibility of the data that we can tap into. We've talked already a lot about age differences, generational differences. We can also look at regional differences, even state-by-state breakdowns. And it's certainly looking at emerging trends over time. It's a big piece of this piece of research that we did here talking about today. What all of this is designed to do is help uncover unexpected insights and plan for the future. What we really do is help brands establish themselves through thought leadership, help companies make strategic decisions and spot emerging trends. Again, a couple of years ago, we weren't even talking about AI as it relates to travel planning, and yet it's a huge piece of so many people's travel plans and pre-planning to take a trip. I think one of the key takeaways is that large data reports like this are vital for staying relevant in a fast-changing world, and that is true for any company, any brand, any industry, in any sector. You got to stay on top of the trends, and we can help you do that.
So what types of trips are people most excited about right now, and what kind of seems to be kind of losing the steam?
Right. Well, the vibe right now that we're hearing is relax and recharge. So think taking a vacation to the beach, spending a weekend at the lake, maybe getting out of the city and spending some time in the country. All of these kind of relaxation kind of trips is what people are saying is trending right now for what they want to do. All of this over the more adrenaline junkie vacations like ski trips, which was at the bottom of the list. Backpacking, also least popular. I guess people really want to like slow down, not really work too hard for it, and just really relax. You know, we also asked about a bucket list for people who want to take trips. The number one bucket list dream vacation right now, a road trip across the USA, was the number one. 32% of everybody said that's what they want to see. The Statue of Liberty came in at number 5. Of course, there were some perpetual favorites internationally, like exploring Paris, seeing the Northern Lights in Iceland, and seeing the cherry blossoms bloom in Japan. But really, one of the main trends that we're seeing is that domestic travel is trending, and that goes even for bucket list vacation.
Excellent. Yeah, I just got back from a trip, and I want to go back. That's where I want to be. If anyone wants to check out this full report or dive deeper into some of these findings, where should they go?
Yeah, talkerresearch.com/travel. There was so much more data we didn't have time to talk about today. So many trends that we didn't get a chance to speak on. talkerresearch.com/travel. You can see the full report. Might get inspired.
Van, you are the man. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks so much.
Do you ever wonder what it really takes to earn one of the most iconic uniforms in sports? I would love one, but I wouldn't look good in it. Season 2 of America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders, just dropped on Netflix, and it gives us an all-access pass to the high-pressure world of DCC auditions, training camp, and the life under those stadium lights. So joining us today is longtime DCC director Kelli Finglass, along with current squad members Jada, McLean, and Reese Weaver, here with a sneak peek behind the pom-poms. Welcome to the show, you three. How are you?
Good morning.
Great.
All right. This new season really takes viewers deeper than it has ever done before. What made you want to tell more of the story this time around, Kelli?
Well, there's just, it's a beautiful story. It's beautiful people, and I've always been very, very proud of the dance and performance achievements of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, but Netflix has now put a new lens on the cheerleaders as individuals, and you get to see this beautiful, complex life of Jada, and you see Reese's personal story, getting married, and her experiences with being a new bride. It's just it's captivating, and they're all someone that different people can relate to and be inspired from.
Jada and Reese, what was it like to have cameras following you along your journey? I have a hard time with the ones that are in this room. Did anything surprise you about like watching it back after everything?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't too surprised just because, for one, we lived it. But I think we have a great camera team. I think they do their best to just be there. They don't really, force anything. They don't try to get in the middle of, anything going on. They kind of just hang around and film. So everything is very authentic, and it is really how it, was lived out. They're just there to capture it.
The show really captures how intense the training process is. What kind of pressure do you guys as dancers face both physically and emotionally?
I think, as dancers, we, from a very young age, we're constantly looking at ourselves in the mirror, and we're trying to learn technique and moves and all sorts of things in the mirror. And I think that can sometimes negatively have an effect on dancers as they grow older with comparison or wanting to have certain strengths that other girls have. But I think that for us, we all know that we are cream of the crop, and we do our best in everything that we do, but we also push ourselves. And so I'm just really grateful for the sisterhood that we have, and that camaraderie of making sure that we're the best in all that we do.
And you get to see a lot of sisterhood and personal growth this season. How has being part of the DCC changed your lives beyond the field?
Yeah, I've met some of my best friends on this team, and truly they've shaped me. They've taught me a lot about myself. They've taught me a lot about, being a good friend, being a good teammate, and being a good human being. So I'm grateful for these women. They are a lot more beautiful on the inside than they are on the outside. I know that's probably hard to believe, but I think they are amazing individuals, and I'm just so grateful to be surrounded by people like them.
I want to thank you three for joining me this morning. If you love football, dance, or just that great underdog story, check out America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders, now streaming on Netflix. Thank you three for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Living with a rare disease can bring challenges most of us can't imagine. Indolent systemic mastocytosis is one of those conditions, with symptoms that can be triggered by everyday things like foods or even sense. Joining us today are Jackie, who's been living with ISM, and Dr. Dareen Siri, an allergist and immunologist, to share their story and explain how a new treatment option can help. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jackie, can you start by sharing your journey with us about ISM and what you've experienced?
Yes, I can. I started having symptoms in the 1990s, and I would have an itchy rash on my shoulders and neck area. I would have stomach issues, migraine headaches, GI issues, and I put those off to perhaps a stress situation at work. And I just didn't think about it for a while until the symptoms persisted and didn't go away. And finally, I went to see a doctor, and I saw several doctors about it. In 2014, I was finally diagnosed with indolent systemic mastocytosis through a blood test and through a bone marrow biopsy. If I want to, one thing I do want to share with all the listeners is find a doctor that meets your needs. Not all doctors I have found are really in tune with what mast cell disease is.
What were some of the symptoms that affected your daily life the most?
Food allergies. It got to the point that I could only eat 4 or 5 foods. And if I wandered from that at all, I'd have terrible GI symptoms. I had a lot of diarrhea. I couldn't keep things down. I would get blood blisters in my mouth that were the size of marbles. It was a very, very difficult time for me. In addition to that, I also had a lot of problems with itching and with the rash.
You've started treatment with AYVAKIT. How has that helped you?
I started AYVAKIT 2 years ago when it was approved by the FDA for indolent systemic mastocytosis treatment. My doctor had told me that there could be some side effects, and I did suffer from side effects for a very short time. He told me just to hang in there and that the symptoms would get better and eventually go away, which they did. And now I would say at least 80 to 90% of my symptoms are gone. And it's a lot easier to live today because of that intervention.
Well, that's such great news. Dr. Siri, for those who aren't familiar, what exactly is ISM and how does it impact patients?
I would be delighted to explain that. Of course, today, this presentation is sponsored by Blueprint Medicine, which does make AYVAKIT. But it really is to get the message out that indolent systemic mastocytosis is the most common form of systemic mastocytosis. And what that means for patients is that these immune cells that are naturally in our bodies, called the mast cell, M-A-S-T, are now have acquired a genetic mutation throughout our life. And so these programming in terms of the cell production, cell death, now is mutated. And so these cells are now making tons of mast cells. They're producing unchecked. And so inevitably, they'll start to invade organs like the skin, like the gut, like the nervous system. And mast cells, if you're not already familiar with this, is that they release chemicals like histamine that you're familiar with. So of course, patients would have symptoms like they have an allergy, like they're flushing, they're having anaphylaxis or allergic reactions, they're having what looks like a food allergy with diarrhea and food intolerances. It seems pretty natural to think that you have an allergy, but it's definitely more than that. And so when patients are experiencing more aggressive symptoms than the medications are typically can handle that we use for allergies, or when they start experiencing other symptoms like bone pain, headache, fatigue, like Jackie experienced, it's time to think, is this potentially indolent systemic mastocytosis?
Where can people watching go to learn more about this condition and the available treatments?
The great website is avakit.com, exactly the medication that is used to treat indolent systemic mastocytosis. Very helpful for general information, but also about the medication. Since this is the first and only approved medication for this condition, it specifically and precisely targets that gene mutation and reduces the burden of those mast cells. So in clinical trials, what we saw is that patients had improved skin. They had decreased gut issues. They had decreased brain fog and pain. And so really, really helpful. There may be, of course, some side effects, right, Jackie? And there are things such as swelling around the eyes, swelling around the ankles. Certainly, we don't give it to patients with really low platelets, but these can be monitored by the doctor. And I think that it's important for patients to talk about their symptoms, even if they don't have all the symptoms, about whether or not this is the right disease and about monitoring and whether or not the medication is appropriate.
Thank you both for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to school season always seems like a scramble, right? Between work, homework, and everything else that's going on. The last thing you want is a complicated dinner, but getting a meal on the table fast doesn't mean it has to be boring. Let's take a look.
Lifestyle expert Kia Malone is offering new inspiration to bring more flavor and nutrition to weeknight meals.
My go-to meal hack is building easy DIY bowls, and my secret is Bush's Sidekicks. With quality beans in a rich, savory sauce, pre-seasoned and slow simmered, they add protein, fiber, and flavor. How about a taco salad bowl with Bush's Sidekicks Taco Fiesta black beans? This fresh and flavorful salad bowl unites zesty ground beef or chicken and saucy black beans for a protein-rich dish. Or try a Mediterranean grain bowl with Bush's Sidekicks rustic Tuscany chickpeas, grilled chicken, veggies, and olives on a bed of greens and grains. This steak burrito bowl combines skirt steak, salsa, guac, and a bed of cilantro lime rice with Bush's Sidekicks Southwest Zest pinto beans to give you the perfect kick of spice and flavor.
Find more information at bushbeans.com or Bush's Beans on X, Facebook, and Instagram.
Have you ever dreamed of high-speed getaways, dusty back roads, and that 1970s crime world where danger is just a pit stop away? You know, Max's new series, Duster, might be your next obsession. From Emmy winner J.J. Abrams and showrunner LaToya Morgan, Duster stars Josh Holloway as a getaway driver trying to outrun his past, and Rachel Hilson, a trailblazing FBI agent who's got her sights on taking down the dangerous crime syndicate. And come on, man, we got them both here to talk all about it. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thank you so much.
You. All right, Josh, you play a getaway driver in the 1970s, Southwest. What kind of drew you to this role, and what makes Duster different than some of the other crime dramas out there?
Wow, everything drew me to this role. First of all, it was JJ and LaToya Morgan, and I was like, that's incredible on its own. It's such a rich era to explore. The 70s, just with fashion and music and cars and everything. It was just a dream come true to get a phone call like this. I'm like, absolutely, I'm in 100%.
And Rachel, your character is an FBI agent in the 70s. What kind of preparation or mindset did it take to try to bring Nina to life?
Yeah, it did take some prep. I had the opportunity to speak to several former agents, a couple of which were Black women who joined in the early 80s. So getting their insights was invaluable. I read a bunch of books. I watched a bunch of movies, read all about Nixon and, the Panthers just before and their their conflicts with the FBI and the Black community's conflicts with the FBI, and just sort of tried to get a well-rounded picture of where I was coming from and where I was in 1972. Yeah.
And there's a heck of a lot of grit and style in the show. What kind of world are viewers stepping into when they pretty much hit play on this?
Wow. It's kind of like a modern Western. It feels like it's like this. The desert is a character in itself. The car moves you between scenes, so it's got this high octane driven pace, and then it's so character driven. You never know what character you're going to run into, so it's just like that. It's like a Pulp Fiction, lock, stock, two smoking barrels type adventure.
Yeah. You know, there is something that JJ said, I think a couple weeks ago that was like, it's sort of like what a show that was made in the 70s would look like if, you know, it was just elevated a little more.
If it was done good.
If it was done well.
Josh, Rachel, thanks for joining me this morning. Duster is streaming now on Max, so check it out at max.com or search Duster on your Max app to start watching. Josh, Rachel, thanks for joining me this morning, my friends.
Thank you, Dan.
Ever head out on an adventure only to realize no service? It's frustrating, especially when you're in a beautiful spot and want to stay connected. Joining us live from the mountains in West Virginia is travel expert and TV host Kinga Phillips. She's here with how T-Mobile is making it easier to stay connected, even off the beaten path. Welcome, Kinga.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. First off, where are you joining us from today? It looks amazing.
It is. I am in Dorsey's Knob Park in West Virginia, and it is not only beautiful, but it is super remote, which makes it the perfect location to introduce T-Mobile's new T satellite service, which lets you be connected even in the most remote locations.
That is beautiful. Well, we've all dealt with those dead zones. What's being done to fix that problem in places like where you are today?
Well, you are so right. In fact, there are over 500,000 square miles of land in the United States where no matter how awesome your cell provider is, there are dead zones. And these are national parks, they are rural areas, they are farmlands, they are freeways. And what is so fantastic about T satellite is if you can see the sky, you are connected. And that is obviously fantastic news for travelers, adventurers, explorers, hikers, and even those people who work and live in those areas. Not to mention that so many of us now have to contend with extreme weather events and natural disasters all across the US. So it's a real game changer.
Can you explain a bit more what T-Satellite with Starlink is and how it works?
Yes, the technology is actually really awesome. So T-Satellite is partnered with Starlink, and they utilize 650 and more satellites of theirs that are constantly circling the planet. And they essentially act like cell towers in space. So even if you're in the most remote corner, you have service. And what's great is this service is available on just about every cell phone, smartphone that's been built in the last 4 years. It is automatic on the best T-Mobile plans. It just popped up one day on mine. But even if you have other plans or other providers like Verizon or AT&T, you can still purchase this service for $10 a month.
Awesome. Even for travelers who want to unplug, why is it still important to have connectivity?
Great question. I love to unplug. I love to play and work off the grid, but I have also worked with search and rescue teams all over the world. I have helped to bring people out of the wilderness who have been injured. So I understand the value of being connected when you need it most for safety and for information.
And what about people living in rural areas? What kind of coverage can they expect now?
Well, T-Mobile is already leading the way in connectivity in rural areas, but now T-Satellite is an extra layer of security for everyone in those areas. And essentially what is offered on the service is SMS texting, you have texting to 911, and you have location sharing. Now they're working on more data, so you'll be able to do voice memos and photos. They're also partnering with apps like WhatsApp, AllTrails, AccuWeather. And because they believe that everyone should have peace of mind, the texting to 911 is going to be free on every compatible device, no matter if you're subscribed or not, no matter what provider you have.
This is a lot of great information. Where can folks learn more about this service?
They can visit tmobile.com and all the information is there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kinga.
Thank you.
From pop hits to powerful faith-filled anthems, Stars Go Dim has built a global following. Now, frontman Chris Cleveland is back with a brand new album called Roses, a project years in the making that blends retro grooves with heartfelt lyrics. He also just celebrated a milestone moment with his debut at the Grand Ole Opry. Chris joins us now to talk about it all. Welcome to the show, Chris. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Roses, it was just released. What was the inspiration behind this album, and how does it reflect where you are right now in life?
Oh, so much. I think anytime with music, the best way to make it is to make music that means something to you in the moment and just to be as honest as possible. And so this record is the first record I produced 100% myself. And so it's the most authentic me record. It's really vintage. It's really soulful. It's vibey. And then just the content of the album is all about just taking a step back like really slowing down and seeing like the greatest pieces of life are in these small moments that sometimes, if we're too busy, we just fly past. And so hopefully, as people hear this, they have a really good time as they listen to the record, but they can also slow down and enjoy those small pieces and moments of life.
And the album, it mixes faith and everyday life in a really unique way. Can you share how your songwriting process brought those themes together?
Absolutely. I think with this album, I wrote every single song from one question. It's a question I've asked myself a lot of times, especially if you're a person of faith, is like, in the very best and in the very worst of life, how does this thing work with God? Like, how does he meet us? Does it? And these songs are kind of answers to those questions. And as I went through, I think I realized more and more, especially with my co-writers, that I think God meets us the most in these seemingly small moments. And not saying that these big, huge miracles and things can't happen. It just hasn't been my experience in life. But what I have seen is the incredible joy, the incredible love, the incredible life, the incredible faith through those small moments. And so that's what a lot of these songs, every song, is all about.
And also, congratulations on making your debut at the Grand Ole Opry. That's pretty massive. How was that night like for you?
Incredible. You know, I've been traveling and playing since I was 10 years old. I turned 40 this year, so 30 years. And so it felt like a really awesome celebration of a career. And I grew up in Oklahoma, and so my grandma was a songwriter. And so I've always been aware of the Opry and how much it meant. And so my family and I have lived in Nashville now for almost a decade. And so to be able to walk on that stage where so many people have been before, it was a really special moment.
And one of your standout tracks is your song, which you dedicated to fans. What is some of the what is that connection with your listeners mean to you?
Everything. I think I wrote this song specifically for people. Like, if you've ever needed just a song to make you feel better than you do right now, that's what your song is all about. From the lyric to the feel, as soon as it comes on, you just want to crank it up, throw the windows down, and just blast it. And hopefully when you do that, you're going to feel better once the song is over than when it started. And that's what your song is all about, just to make you feel great.
Chris, thanks for joining me this morning. Check out Chris Cleveland's new album, Roses, From Stars Go Dim. It's out now everywhere music is sold and streamed. For more information on the music, videos, and tour dates, just go to his website, starsgodim.com. Thanks for joining me this morning, Chris.
You bet, man. Thank you.
And that's it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. I know we're a weird, small show. We're an independent. Me and my friends have kind of come together to help make a TV show that's broadcast in a bunch of cities across the country. Yes, we're a national show, but we do try to connect locally. So if you are a local business having a local event, we will produce shows specifically for the markets that we're aired in. So go to our website, riseunwindtv.com. Send us your information. Tell us what you want to talk about, and maybe you could be on a future program. And that's how we do it. We localize as much as we can, even though we're doing multiple cities. I know this is a weird show, try to explain it that way, but that is what we call Rise and Unwind. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and tune in every week right here. Thank you. That's it for Rise and Unwind.